Hello, welcome to another week of Talking Film, your ultimate catch-up movie news service, where we talk about what's happening this week in terms of movie news, and we also go through the box office results. And for the first time, we'll be going through our predictions, which might make it a bit more interesting, put some bets on the table maybe. I'm Daniel, and you all know this. Nick's on the other line, if you've been watching.
You all know me by now. Hello.
Yeah, everyone should be known. If you haven't watched this before, then yeah, that's our names. So let's start off with the box office for this weekend. At number 5, we have Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 with $5.1 million for a total of $58 million. At number 4 is Fast and Furious 7 with $5.27 million for a total of $338.4 million. At number 3 is The Age of Adeline with $5.6 million for a total of $31.5 million. And number 2 is the new release Hot Pursuit with $13.3 million. And at number 1 is Avengers Age of Ultron with $77.2 million for a total of $312.5 million, which is the second highest second weekend of all time. So just behind the Avengers with $103 million. So yeah, Nick, what stands out in the box office results for this weekend?
Well, I'll probably keep it pretty short and sweet this time. I think that a lot of movies dropped from weekend to weekend, and and Hot Pursuit is the new release, and it did not that great, really, for what they were predicting. That's really.
I thought 20 million would be maybe just. I thought it was going to get about 20 million. 18 to 20 million is what I was expecting.
It's kind of a non-event though. This movie, it was like the marketing was trying to be kind of funny. I wasn't sure what it was targeting. Was it targeting women or men or?
I haven't even seen the trailer to this film. I don't think so. I can't even remember if I have seen the trailer.
I've barely even seen it, but it seemed that it was very like. Quite two attractive actresses. Yeah, I think it was aiming towards women, but I just feel like it was trying to go. The casting also tried to aim it towards men, like, but it just didn't really work. Its message didn't come across quite clearly enough, and
it might have been the wrong time to release it. If they're targeting a female crowd, that female crowd's probably waiting for this weekend to release America.
Pitch Perfect 2 coming out this week in America, and I think it's already out here. Yeah, it's already out here. Pitch Perfect 2 comes out next week in America, and Avengers came out last week. It's like the worst possible time to release any movie, basically, this weekend. So no wonder it's a graveyard in the box office right now. Besides the holdover from last week, which is Avengers 2, very briefly. Second highest second weekend.
Yes, slightly. Avatar's 77 million, so we're slightly ahead of it.
Sounds weird to say though. Wow, what a record! What an achievement! The second highest second weekend ever. Well done to it. I thought it would be higher, but
yeah, I thought I was expecting about 85 to 90 million actually.
The Avengers, I guess the Avengers 2 just hasn't taken off. It hasn't taken the world by storm like the first one had. The first one did. It's still going to make a lot of money, but it's more on an Iron Man 3 than the Avengers.
It's still going to make more than Iron Man 3.
Yeah, worldwide and domestically.
America, I think,
and domestically, it's easily going to make 500. I think already, isn't it? That's the prediction.
Yeah, at the moment, if it follows Iron Man 3's track, then it's going to get about 500.
Iron Man 3 dropped quite a bit week to week, didn't it? I think.
It dropped about 59% in the second weekend, according to Box Office Mojo. So, yeah. Also, the box office milestones. Of course, Avengers Age of Ultron has now grossed over $875 million and should break into the $1 billion club next weekend with its debut in China. And And Cinderella has also grossed past 500 million for a total of 513.1 million. Thoughts of that, Nick?
Yeah, well, no, really not many surprises, except maybe Cinderella making that much money. But then, is that really a surprise? Because those Disney movies do a lot better than anybody ever expects. Like Maleficent, Alice in Wonderland, before Oz, even Oz did all right.
Yeah, Oz did about, I think, 470 something million, so it did pretty well. My only thing would make Cinderella sort of a surprise is that Alice in Wonderland, Maleficent, and even to a further extent, Oz sort of had some sort of battle something in it, like battle montage sort of like in the trailers to, get these action
Maleficent
fans.
had a dragon in its trailers, so that always sells tickets.
Yeah.
Dragon.
Cinderella was, more towards the old fairy tale sort of thing, find Prince Charming sort of thing and the glass slipper. So there really was like any action into the trailers. So I'm actually surprised Cinderella's actually done over 500 million.
Dragons sell tickets there. Dragons.
Well, if they ever make a Game of Thrones movie, it's going to do extremely well then.
Yes, and like just any movie could benefit from dragons. Hang on, note to Pixar: Inside Out include dragons.
Wasn't there a dragon film that didn't do so well?
Dinosaur include dragons.
Aragon or something like that. Was there like a dragon film that didn't do so well?
Aragon. Yeah, that was mainly targeted. That was a weird tone of movie though, and it wasn't that great. I don't think even as far as the book's concerned. Like the book is pretty good, I've heard. So the movie just didn't live up to it. So there's one of those just failed book adaptations that was trying to recapture a tone similar to Harry Potter, I guess. It just couldn't. That wasn't apparently the type of book it was. Not that I've read it. I have not read that. I tried. I couldn't get through it. That's a story for another day.
And also, we're going to do something new. Usually, me and Nick do our box office predictions, but this time we thought we'll do it. This time, talking film, so it makes the game a bit more interesting. And if we fail, well, then everyone knows how bad we failed.
We always fail anyway.
Yeah, well, actually, you did extremely well. With your, you got 5 out of 5. So.
Oh, okay.
So overall,
now everybody gets to share in this game. So now that everybody's watching, I'm going to fail miserably.
That is the plan, so I succeed.
Okay.
So overall results, Nick's at 11 and I'm on 10. So we'll start off with our box office predictions for this weekend, and I'm going first.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1 is going to be Avengers 2, of course. And number 2 is going to be Pitch Perfect 2. Number 3 is Mad Max, but I think Pitch Perfect 2 and Mad Max are going to be very close to each other. And number 4 is going to be Hot Pursuit. And number 5 is The Age of Adeline, because that movie just doesn't seem to get away from top 5 at all. So I think it's going to have a bit of a hold, more of a hold than Fast and Furious and Paul Blart. So
I think it's a no-brainer that Adeline's going to be 5 and Avengers 2 is going to be number 1. It's interesting. Like I wrote my predictions before you said yours, and they're different. So that was good. I think the Mad Max will beat Pitch Perfect 2, and that's about that. Everything else you've said is the same as mine. I just think I've got Mad Max in at number 2 next weekend, and I think Pitch Perfect 2 will come in at number 3.
I do think it'll be close.
So
it'll be.
Oh, I don't know. Mad Max is a wild card. It could flop or it could exceed expectations. Like imagine a world where Mad Max actually exceeds Avengers 2. Unlikely.
I don't know how much the 3 Mad Max films did in America.
Yeah, I know. But trailers and marketing for this, there's quite a big online hype for Mad Max. So I imagine that it translated very well from Guardians of the Galaxy online hype to film gross. Mm-hmm. So I imagine maybe.
Sometimes you get your Pacific Rim. Sometimes
online hype doesn't matter. It's hard to judge from online hype. But I think based on like Pitch Perfect 2 is kind of a cult movie. I don't know how big it is in America. It's pretty big here because of Rebel Wilson and a few other factors. Just struck a chord with teenage audiences, I guess. But I just huge like blockbuster kind of audience. It's a cult like teen young adult
Well,
film, whereas Mad Max could appeal to a broad audience.
yeah, I was going to think about Mad Max, but I had Pitch Perfect 2, just for a few factors. The first one made about 14 million, but it also had a preview screening where it got about nearly 6 million in just that. So it made 20 million if you add those two factors together. And I was
Right.
I'm expecting the cult film sort of hype sort of thing, because 21 Jump Street opened with about 35 million, and that made, I think, what, 60 million, over 60 million with the sequel. So I'm not expecting to do those kind of numbers, but I'm expecting it's going to do about maybe 35 million for the sequel. Maybe I'm expecting the Falls Jump Street sort of jump.
I don't think so. Well, Jump Street sort of jump. But no, I don't think it's going to have that kind of jump. But you might be right. I might be wrong. I think that Mad Max will surprise and Pitch Perfect 2 will kind of just match expectations. I think that Mad Max will exceed, but it could go the other way.
Yeah. Who knows? We really don't know. So only time can tell. So we'll see how it goes next week. Moving on to the news. The big news of the week is, of course, Captain America 3. So let's just combine all of them together. Well, they could easily have like the top 4 spots easily on this thing. So like, well, I can't do that.
There was literally casting news for this movie 3 days in a row.
Yeah, that was it. Martin Freeman joins Captain America Civil War with Revenge star Emily Von Camp returning as Agent 13 from Winter Soldier. I know there's another one, but I don't know if that's going to be spoilers or whatnot that I've heard about. So,
well, can we just put a spoiler warning then?
Yeah,
and just
spoilers.
Because they didn't really spoiler warnings for us. Like maybe I didn't want to know that. Anyway, Ant-Man survives.
I didn't even want to know about it because, well, this movie's coming up, and I didn't even know it was going to tie into the overall cinematic universe. So I didn't want to know anything about it until after the movie came out. So I don't know. It's sort of like when you reveal all of Phase 3 before Avengers 2, I've sort of now know what's going to come up now, and I'm just not as hyped anymore.
Well, I don't think that Ant-Man's... So Ant-Man is going to be in Captain America Civil War 3. Paul Rudd. So that rules out him dying in Ant-Man, but I never really thought that was a possibility. So, look, I don't treat it that much of a spoiler, but I just think it's really good that they're integrating that film into the larger universe, because did you mention the returning character from The Incredible Hulk?
No, I've never seen the film. I didn't heard about it.
So there's one of the characters. I'm going to have to watch it now. The Incredible Hulk, one of the General Ross, I think his name is. He's going to be in Captain America Civil War. So that's tying in The Incredible Hulk, which is very, very rarely referenced in the cinematic universe as a whole. So here we've got Ant-Man coming into play in Captain America Civil War. So I think it's good. It's bridging all of the films of the universe together. It's like sewing the final remaining threads between these standalone films. So now we only just need Guardians of the Galaxy to be a bit more tied into the universe, and we've got kind of like this one through line, this one narrative that the entire 3 phases can like be amounted to, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, but then exactly what you said though, because Guardians of the Galaxy, we didn't even know how that really tied in with the characters to the universe. And that's what I was expecting for Ant-Man, but now I know that he's going to be in Captain America Civil War. Well, then that,
I wonder how he's going to play into the film, though. Is he going to be... Okay, can we spoiler warning for the ending of the Avengers Age of Ultron? We're going to talk about this again later anyway, so spoiler warning for the ending of Avengers Age of Ultron. So there's kind of a spoiler. It's not major. I'm not going to tell who's in it, but there is a new Avengers team at the end of the film. That Captain America is leading, and it is spoiled anyway for anybody who read the news in a synopsis for Captain America: Civil War, that Cap is leading the new Avengers team.
Okay.
Yeah, Cap is leading the new Avengers team, and there's some, just keeping with the comic book source material, there's a cataclysm. Well, not cataclysm, but like superhero. The new Avengers team makes a mistake, right? And something goes bad, and that introduces the government registration that sparks the civil war between Cap and Iron Man, right?
Okay.
So that's in the comic books. Getting not too far off topic here. In the comic books, is like CTS superheroes basically blow up a school. I think it's a school or something by accident, trying to save it, and like one of the heroes has this power of like making explosions or whatever, and accidentally kills lots of people with his power. So that's what sparks the whole government interference. So this is obviously the cinematic universe's interpretation of that, and the new Avengers team is going to, well, screw up basically.
No.
And I think that Ant-Man is going to be on that team. That's how it ties in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Martin Freeman. That's an interesting one.
You should like Martin Freeman because he's like your favorite trilogy of all time, The Hobbit.
I hate that trilogy. Lord of the Rings. You're getting it mixed up. The Hobbit's good. It's all right. As a whole, 3 films, The Hobbit's good, but the final film really disappointed me, so it can never be a great. I've told you this, so you shouldn't ever think that my favorite. But Martin Freeman plays Bilbo Baggins perfectly, I'll say that. And Martin Freeman is an amazing actor, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what he plays in Captain America: Civil War.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in any other films except for what's the one? The World's End from Edgar Wright. So that's the only one I've seen him in. He wasn't too bad. Yeah. So yeah, he'll do a good job. What role is he playing?
No one knows. That's the guess.
Okay.
Spider-Man, obviously.
Okay. Okay. Or it could be Uncle Ben. And I guess Emily Von Camp, now that Revenge is cancelled, she's obviously going to return.
Yeah. But seriously, there's a larger story here, larger news story here, and it's that Civil War. I wish we had like a censor, like a bleep censor, because Civil War is stuffed full of characters. It's absolutely chocker. It's like every single character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is in Captain America: Civil War, except for the Hulk and Thor.
Yeah, they didn't get an invitation.
No.
Yeah, so I don't know how they're going to balance it out.
It's got to be like a 4-hour movie.
Because Age of Ultron was a little bit overstuffed, not too badly, but it was a little bit. So I just hope that they can find a bit of a balance to Civil War. So, and I can't wait for it because it's Captain America. So, moving on, Beverly Hills Cop 4 has been delayed to an unknown date. Originally set to open on March 25th, 2016, so that Axel Foley is no longer competing against Batman and Superman.
So the story is Beverly Hills Cop 2 is being off, whatever it's for, whatever it is, been moved. Fourth one. 4.
Yeah.
4 has been moved. Have you seen any of the first 3?
Yes, I've got the first 2 on Blu-ray.
You're probably more qualified than I am to talk about this because I don't even know what that is.
You haven't even seen any of them?
No.
Man. God. Buy the films, watch them. Except for the third one. Do not get the third one. Get the first one. The first one's the best. The second one is enjoyable. The third one's terrible. Do not watch
let me just write that down here. Down on my.
Did you have like a movie list?
Yes. Anyway,
but the first one's the best one though. So
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was surprised. I knew this is going to happen because I felt like Paramount jumped the gun announcing the release date for Beverly Hills Cop 4. it's because recently in interviews, Eddie Murphy's come out saying that he's not going to make it if the script is right. So that's saying that the script is still being written and he's still waiting for, approval of the script before he wants to do it, because not many people really like the third one. And he's even come to say that the third one was really terrible. So, and he doesn't want to just to get the fourth one just to be a paycheck. So he really wants this to be like a comeback for him, which is understandable because it is. People really do like this franchise. So I'm hoping that I'm hoping that the script is going to get rewrites, and I'm hoping it's not going to be cancelled. I'm hoping it's going to get pushed maybe holiday 2016, maybe November, October, maybe when there's less competition. So instead of March, because Batman Superman was obviously going to take that top weekend anyway. So I'm just hoping that the film has been cancelled and that the Ghost Protocol writers are writing the script. So they have I have huge faith in that team to pull off a really good movie.
Can I just add something then? Sin City 2, A Dame to Kill For, had the same director, I believe, as the first one, and it did not do so well at the box office, and it had a cult status, a cult following. Are you sure this isn't going to play out like Sin City 2, a sequel that no one really wants to a film that people like?
No, I think it's going to play out depending on the quality of the film. I think it's going to have a huge opening weekend, and it just depends on the quality. I think it's going to be more Dumb and Dumber 2, because that did really well in its opening weekend, but only suffered because of the quality of the film.
Right. All right, then. We'll see. Okay.
And it's Eddie Murphy. This is one of his most iconic roles he's been in. So
Eddie Murphy. Okay.
And it even has one of the best theme songs ever. I love the theme song for the film. So, okay, moving on. Keanu Reeves is returning to John Wick 2. I don't know how much we're going to talk about this because I haven't even seen the first one, but I want to. Have you seen it, Nick?
Which movie is this? Sorry.
John Wick.
No, but I've heard good things about it, so I'm intent on seeing. I'm intent on seeing the first one and then seeing the second one. Maybe at theaters, maybe not, but we'll see.
Yeah, I really want to see the first one. I heard nothing but great things about it, so I really want to see it. And it's Keanu Reeves. I mean, he's awesome. So, I guess that's all we can say about it. John Wick 2. If anyone who likes John Wick, there's a sequel happening, and Keanu Reeves is back in it. Okay, that's I guess all we can go for. We have our very first question, filmaholic question. And he asked, after seeing Avengers Age of Ultron and presumably all of the MCU films, except for The Incredible Hulk, what do you think are the major plot holes in the entire story of the universe, and how would you go about fixing them with the announced future lineup of films? This is a big question.
This is a good question. Thank you, John. John Tavani. Well, there's one plot hole that sticks out to me right now. It's going to be hard to go into this without spoiler details for the first 11 films in the MCU, or I should say 10 because we haven't seen The Incredible Hulk. I think the first one that came to mind is the Infinity Gauntlet at the moment. That's like they've kind of explained that, kind of not explained that. I'm like, okay, maybe they need to explain that in a future film. Maybe in Thor 3. I think that's probably a good spot to explain it. Yeah, so I think that would be the film I'd fix that in, or yeah, because that's where it was. It was in Asgard, the Infinity Gauntlet, and it was clearly visible in Asgard. You can see it. It's obviously there in the vault, but it's the wrong hand. It's the wrong hand if you look closely, and it's not the one that Thanos, spoilers, gets at the end of Avengers: Age of Ultron. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen the movie by now, like seriously, what are you doing with your life? It's been 3 weeks.
Well, 2 weeks in America, but 3 weeks for everyone else. Actually, we have Chinese audience, Nick. They haven't seen it yet, so.
Sorry to all our Chinese audience. The movie dubbed into Chinese.
But yeah,
the dubbing is always so great for the Marvel movies. So good.
Yeah, I agree. The Infinity Gauntlet needs to, like, you know, when we saw the Avengers 2, I thought that was the one in Asgard, and then Kevin Feige says that no, it's not. It's another one. There's going to be two in the MCU. Well, then you need to clarify that with your audience, because if a general moviegoer really just likes enjoying watching these, the Avengers films or Iron Man and stuff like that, they're not, if they don't go online to have a look, oh, what does the Marvel Studios boss says about this, then they're not going to get it if they don't clarify that in the future films.
Do you agree that it would be Thor 3? That would be the best way to clarify that?
Yeah, because maybe Thanos might even be in it, and he wants the other gauntlet, but then they're trying to protect it.
Yeah, I think that would be perfect. Like, he's going to try and take the Tesseract in Thor 3, I reckon, and that would be perfect way to actually make him seem menacing. It would be a great way to make him seem menacing if he breaks into Asgard and takes the Tesseract.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah. Like I said, this is going to be the Winter Soldier, so it's going to be a major game changer for probably the Thor universe or films. So I am expecting Thanos to be in it. It's going to be like the badass that going to be hyping him up for Avengers 3, maybe. So
yeah, he's got to be. Well, at least one of these films between now and Avengers 3 has to make
anything
Thanos
else.
Seem one of these films in Phase 3 before Avengers 3 make Thanos seem badass. He needs to be a better villain in this phase, so that we actually go, oh no, the Avengers can never face him. They'll never be able to take him.
And he also needs to be in his chair.
He needs to be in his chair. He's thrown.
Yeah, he's thrown these rockets, and he just needs to stay in there. That's all we've seen him so far. It's
just sky rockets and jets around everywhere, and he's flying in his space chair and going, "Hey Thor, what's up? I want my Tesseract for my gauntlets. Check out my bling." Anyway,
the Infinity Stones need better explanation. Oh my god, they need to further explain the Infinity Stones, because they do that very briefly in Avengers 2, and it's actually very.
They've explained it too much. Just we need a couple of films off explaining that, and then they explain it again down the track, like a few years away, right? A year before it comes out, maybe at the beginning of Avengers 3. Just somewhere it doesn't seem clunky. Anyway, very quickly, a few more plot holes. So most of them exist between MCU films. So, for instance, in the first phase, we have Loki vanishing into the void or whatever, and Thor unable to get back to Earth and just be like, no, I'll never see Jane again. Next minute, Thor's back on Earth with the Avengers. Everything's all right. And there's Loki too. Oh my god, the ending of Thor never happened. What gives? That's one big plot hole.
That is a plot hole.
One really annoys me from Avengers 2. One that really, really annoys me is the helicarrier coming and saving them at the end.
Yeah, that annoys me as well.
That really annoys me because it really takes away the impact of Captain America 2. Captain America the Winter Soldier. It takes away the whole, there's no shield anymore. It's all over.
Well, it still has its impact, but it damages it in a way. So
yeah. So Shield's still there. It's just not an official government supported body or whatever. Really,
which suddenly still has other staff still working for.
Has staff. Like if you watch Agents of Shield, spoiler for the show, Coulson becomes director. Agent Coulson becomes director. So it's Director Coulson of Shield. So he is the undercover squad. There's only a group of 10 Shield agents left, right? Just following up the smaller cases in the cinematic universe, like smaller issues. Nick Fury is supposed to be on the lam, whatever, on the run. Like he's a ghost now. He's not ahead of anything. He's got no power. And now all of a sudden in Avengers 2, that he's got a shield team of his own. It's like, what? You're supposed to have no power anymore. What are you doing?
It would have been right time to bring out. Oh look, the Agents of Shield cast
Yeah,
the big screen.
it would have fit. Although I don't know if they have a helicarrier. That's a bit of a stretch, especially since they destroyed all the helicarriers at the end of Captain America 2. But it would have been a great opportunity to bring in Coulson at least instead of Fury. Anyway,
Yeah,
what?
I can't wait for the return of Agent Coulson. Once that show finishes, he'll be back in the MCU movies. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, I know. It seems like it's such a missed opportunity for him not to be back, because it's like the movies continue to like pretend the show doesn't exist, and it does. The show doesn't pretend the movies don't exist, but the movies pretend the show doesn't exist. Anyway,
Who knows?
any other plot holes that that I haven't mentioned that you might have added?
Tony Stark, Iron Man 3.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah. And I don't know, would Bruce and Natasha be one that we didn't really get to see their relationship?
That's more a retcon than a plot hole. That's more of a starting this relationship where there was none than anything.
Yeah. So Tony Stark one jumps at me.
Tony Stark one. How would you fix that though? How would you fix that? Because obviously the next movie he's going to be in is Captain America: Civil War. So how would you somehow explain that gap and why he was at the beginning of Avengers 2?
That's a good question.
Yeah, see, it's kind of too late.
Maybe don't. I don't know. I really can't think of it. Maybe a post-credit scene. I don't know. It's just hard.
I've heard that apparently there's source material before Thor: The Dark World. Like there's a prelude to Thor: The Dark World that explains that that he used the Tesseract to rebuild the bridge of Asgard, the bridge to the what's it called, the
Rainbow Bridge,
the Bifrost. They rebuilt the Bifrost with the Tesseract after the Avengers. So that was explained in the comic prelude to Thor: The Dark World. So if there was a comic prelude to Avengers 2, I don't know if there is, by the way. If there is, and it has been explained, that explains why Tony Stark gets his armor back on and gets back in the game, then that would be pretty good. But it's still not explained for the movie audience. That's what 90% of people won't have read this comic.
I think I heard that there was supposed to be another opening besides the one instead of the one we got in Avengers 2. So
that was the thing I admired so much about Joss Whedon, being able to integrate in the first Avengers minus Thor, but he integrated the endings of the previous movies and it made it flow, and the characters and what they'd gone through in the first phase into the finale of phase 1. Whereas this one, Avengers 2, it's just like they forgot all of the movies before it in phase 2, and it's just Avengers 2 as though it's a sequel to Avengers 1. Like straight from Avengers 1 into Avengers 2, ignoring the phase 2 movies in the middle.
They don't completely.
Not completely, but
the only reason why I said Soldier is because that was a post-credit scene. But then again, Josh Whedon directed that post-credit scene to tie in with Avengers 2. So I guess that's what doesn't really count. That sort of just ties in.
That's not what I mean at all. Like the shield thing, he disregards that. He pretend it exists. He acknowledges its existence, but then he kind of rewrites it out. It's like when you write a story with someone else, like two people writing the same story, and you write paragraph by paragraph. So one person writes a paragraph where someone, I don't know, dies on the beach, and then the next person writes, then they go to the shops. They leave the beach, go to the shops, and buy flowers in the next paragraph, which has nothing to do with the first paragraph. But then they go back to the first writer, and he writes, and then takes the flowers back to the beach to find the dead body. It's like going back and forth. Shield doesn't exist. Shield exists. Shield doesn't exist. Shield exists. Shield doesn't exist. Shield. That's the game that they're playing, and they got to watch out that they don't do that, because now
they're going to be doing that. They're going to do that. Or Shield doesn't exist again.
Yeah, exactly.
I see where you're coming from now.
End of case.
And the last one. What makes a film's budget to be so high these days, and how do studios make a profit from a very large budget?
So repeat the question.
What makes a film's budget to be so high these days? Avengers 2 was reportedly at a $330 million budget. So how do studios make a
Or
profit from
marketing.
these budgets, and what contributes to a film's budget to being so high these days?
That's before marketing, yes. Marketing's in addition to that, I think.
Yeah.
Well, see, if they spend more money on a movie, they make it look better. They apparently get more audience. That's why they do it. If they've got the money, they just basically throw it. So a lot of I was thinking a lot of the scenes in Guardians of the Galaxy are 100% CGI or nearly 100% CGI, which is funny. It's like an animated movie, but it looks amazing. It looks live action. It looks real. And that's very, very expensive to do. So the more CGI you have in a movie, the more expensive it's going to be. And the better the CGI, especially better CGI, the more expensive it's going to be. But also, like, they use equipment on these movies that's like super, super expensive. Cameras, like crane shots and stuff, they cost thousands of dollars per shot. So if you so more money means you can take more shots. You have more of a chance. Not to mention that every single one of these actors would have wanted a pay rise, and Joss Whedon would have wanted a pay rise. So that's where the money into everything that the first movie had was more expensive in the second movie.
Mm-hmm. But not even take. But taking that, I think Amazing Spider-Man 2, did that turn a profit for Sony? Because I think that was at what, 200 and
close to not turning a profit.
Yeah,
no, it turned a profit, but it failed domestically. Really, that's the main reason that they didn't like it. Because if just going based off domestic grosses, it wouldn't have passed budget. So it was the world watched it over that. It definitely made a profit. It just wasn't the money maker that Sony needs. Film studios need a tentpole every year. They need several tentpoles in order to stay afloat. So they need money for. I'm not inside the industry, but they need money for all sorts of things, like a huge amount of things. So they've got so many staff working for them, plus they've got marketing costs and stuff to work out. So they need to have these huge tentpoles absolutely break the box office. And Sony's was Spider-Man, and Spider-Man was ceasing to break the box office. That's really why they had to.
Do you think they put? Do you think that they sometimes shouldn't put too much money towards marketing? I mean, you saw that with Amazing Spider-Man 2,
No.
too much marketing, which turned people off the film. And Avengers 2 sort of crossed the border as well.
It's not too much marketing, the wrong type of marketing.
Okay.
So the trailers were awful, most of them, and they gave away way too much of the plot, so people didn't want to see the movie. Whereas the trailers for something like Guardians of the Galaxy, right? I know I keep going back to Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's it was a perfect formula for a hit, right? We didn't realize it at the time, but it was. And those trailers they were all great, and they all played on all the points that made Marvel movies so successful. Like even the later ones, so from the studio that brought you the Avengers and Iron Man and all that, that was hitting the points, and it was not. None of the trailers gave away too much of the plot. None of the Guardians of the Galaxy trailers gave away too much of the plot. So that's why they did so well there. They had a huge budget too. It was like, I think it was it 200? It must have been maybe 180.
I think it was like 190. I think
190 million. Yeah, huge budget. And they used the marketing. They aggressively marketed it towards the end. It did start with, but towards the release, it was aggressively marketed, and it benefited from that. The marketing for Guardians of the Galaxy drove up the attendance and the profit by heaps. You have no idea. So that's
definitely works for films that you don't really know about, sort of like Guardians of the Galaxy. But when you get to Avengers 2, for example, do you think they put too much trailers out?
No.
For it?
You can't rely on people just goodwill from the first movie. You've got to market it. If you don't market your movie, you're not going to have anybody know it exists. A lot of movies I've been like, what? That's out now, or whatever, or a TV show that's on now, and I haven't heard about it. Orphan Black season 3, right? I'm a big fan of Orphan Black, but I had no idea that season 3 was starting this month until it had already started, because I had not seen any advertising for it or any marketing for it, right?
Well, that's because you probably don't watch SBS too. So
that's because SBS, yes. But that's a very niche example of where marketing's hard on TV because you've got to be watching the right channel. But in cinema, it's easy. People go to the movies, you put a trailer in front of them, and they'll be like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited for this movie." And that's why they need new trailers so people can like hold on to the edge and say, "Oh my god, new trailer for Avengers 2." And they hold on in anticipation, like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited."
Oh, new trailer for Tomorrowland. Copyright.
Well, for most people, that Tomorrowland needs trailers, right? They need people because otherwise
Like,
they can make it.
yeah, it's definitely
We're
original.
going to see Brad Bird, but not everybody knows who Brad Bird is.
Yes, that needs to change though. By the way, people, Brad Bird, The Incredibles, Ratatouille, Iron Giant.
Brad Bird is the director of amazing movies: The Iron Giant, Incredibles, Ratatouille, and Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol.
Just doesn't get much credit for being behind those films. That's all.
He will be. He will. Once The Incredibles 2 comes out, Tomorrowland, The Incredibles 2, and fine eventually. But
I think Tomorrowland might do it because it's like sort of like an original type film. I think Tomorrowland might do it. That might give it recognition because The Incredibles you really wouldn't know because it's just going to be marked as a Pixar film, a sequel to a very popular film.
That was the biggest problem with Pixar directors is we know all the Pixar directors because we're big fans of Pixar, but a lot of the public recognizes the studio and the brand of the studio. They don't know the actual people behind the studio that well.
Yeah, I know. And Tomorrowland, I don't think they really put Brad Bird's names in the trailer. So I really want Brad Bird because I think he's going to be like next Christopher Nolan, Steven Spielberg. I really do. I think Brad Bird's really talented in that regard. So, well, I guess that wraps it up for this week. Tune in next Monday where we'll have more movie news for the next week. Hopefully it's not as slow as this week was. Maybe we might have Batman, Superman casting.
40 minutes of stuff to talk about.
And if not, we'll just go to questions from our filmaholics. So hopefully you like watching this week's episode. Make sure you like our Facebook page at facebook.com/everythingfilm for movie reviews and news. I think Pitch Perfect 2 is going to be out at 4 o'clock today, so stay tuned for that. And that's all. So until next time, bye-bye.
Until next